Hello. This is we are coming out of recess and restarting our annual.
Testing 1 2.
Call this meeting to order at 6:03. I'll turn it over to the town clerk for the roll.
Okay, Representative Adams. Here. Bailey. Burrell. Here. Casper. Here. DeGraffenwright. Here. Dutton.
Here.
Fitzgerald.
Here.
Fritchie.
Here.
Fox.
Here.
Frickman.
Waving at him, he's not waving.
Garner A. Here. Garner M.
Here.
Gibbs. Here. Good.
Here.
Hume.
Here.
Johansson. Here. Kaden. Here. Linder. Luck. Massett.
Here.
Matter. Here. McElroy. Here. Neifeld. Norman. Here. Norris.
Here.
Aubrey. Perella. Powers K. Here. Powers S.
Here.
Pulaski.
Here.
Swindell.
Here.
Omritz.
Here.
B.C. Williams. Watson. Wells.
Here.
Whitney.
Here.
And Representative,
I'm here. I'm here.
28.
We've got 28 members present. Declare a quorum. Just a note for the record, Representative Aubrey may be a little late, Representative Watson may be a little late, and also Representative Norris will be bowing out and then back in due to other obligations. So, yeah, I did mention Aubrey as well. All right.
And
So,
Dean Schimbrough.
and Dean Schönbrot will be late, so we'll account for them as soon as we go along. All right, so we are on day 2 of our agenda for Monday, May 5th. The first item for account is 1011 Information Technology. I just wanted to make it clear for the record that Chair Powers S. has provided and submitted for everyone the minutes for this meeting. He would be happy to speak to those minutes if need be to get clarification, but everybody does have those in their possession. So if not, I can recognize the chair, and if we can get started on that first account, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Account 1011, it's IT Information Technology. Director Spellman was with us. Explained the budget increases of $135,043 due to personal turnover, which was about 50% in the operating expenses, of utility changes over in the computer IT department, which will be a total overall reduction to less than, to a less expensive product. Replacement of an antivirus software product, a robust EDR product. Director explained the individual cost centers of the adjustments for the budget increases. The committee asked a variety of questions on the cost centers and the new replacement programs. The turnover of IT employees and the director's background as to how she became the director. These servers were discussed. All right. The servers were also discussed. Professional services and education outreach and programs were also, for new employees, were discussed with our board. Chairman Powers asked to move $1,466,952 It was moved by Representative Norman and seconded by Representative Gardner. We voted 6 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 abstentions. I'd like to move that number.
Okay, motion was moved by Representative Powers S., seconded by, excuse me, Representative Good, for account 1011, Information Technology, $1,466,952.
Mr. Moderator, I would ask Director Spellman to just give us a brief overview of
Sure.
her reasons for being our new
And again, I'd like
director.
to
Thank you.
recognize Director Spellman here tonight. Thank you for taking on this role. Just before I turn it over to you, this is the number that was presented by the town manager, was approved by the town council, and also approved in committee for this number. That is the main motion on the floor. I yield the floor to you.
Thank you. So I'm the new IT director for the town of Groton. I joined as the systems administrator, and I took over the position after the previous director left. My budget this year, my budget this year does have a decent increase, 4.7% increase in personnel, let me see, and 14.3% increase in the operating expenses. A good chunk of that is due to running utilities simultaneously. We are cutting over from one service to another for the interconnectivity in our buildings, which will reduce our utility spend by approximately $50,000 over 5 years, eventually saving the town money. We, as was mentioned, replaced our antivirus software with a much more robust product to keep our network safe. And we accounted for a few things that were misbudgeted in the previous year as well.
All right, thank you, Director Spellman. I open up the floor for RTM membership for discussion on this main motion on the floor. Representative Norman?
Hi, I guess I'll do a two-parter. One is a broad question. So there's a big increase this year in the overall town budget. Your department here, it's up by 10% overall. If you only had a 3% increase, so if we cut $100,000 off of that, what would that mean? And I think I have a secondary question and sort of the explainers. Some of the big jumps I saw were like under utilities, fuel and mileage, and some of those pieces where that went up by, $40,000. Is that, what is that for? What does that mean?
So the $40,000 increase is due to running services simultaneously for dark fiber and then an interconnected ELAN service through Frontier. We can't cut one service and then immediately start the other service because we have to have time to swap over those services with our infrastructure. Let me see.
And the other one was a broad question. So if you only got a 3% increase, I'm not going to talk about all these things. What would that mean for you overall?
That would mean that I would have to cut at least one staff member, potentially two. And if I only cut one staff member, we would lose a lot of the IT productivity software that we've implemented, such as our new ticketing system and our new documentation platform. It would be a pretty significant cut to our department.
And you have how many people that work?
I have 3 PC network support specialists and 1 systems administrator and 1 GIS coordinator.
Okay, any other discussion? Representative Wells, followed by Swindell.
Just a simple question. I see GIS in there. Could you please tell us what that means?
Geographic Information Systems. So that's the mapping data for the entire town. It's an information technology domain. So GIS can describe the actual software. GIS can describe the field. If you go to maps.grotonct.gov, you can see property data for everything in town that runs off of our GIS server.
Just to mention, it's heavily used by the public, too.
Yes, heavily used by the public and internally. Public safety, sewer district, public works.
Assessing.
Assessment, heavily used by them.
If you wanted to find your footprint on, and what Groton has tabs on of what your footprint of your property is, GIS would be the way to go to find that out, as well as all the other data about the size of the land, the assessed value, and other things to that nature.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Just tagging along over here. So,
Thank you.
Representative Swindell.
I have a question. Probably everybody here but me knows the answer, but I'd like some kind of explanation of why the request in the budget book and the estimate from 2025 are so different. What process went into the change from the estimate to the request?
Town Manager Burt, are you able to answer that? I know we were short-staffed in this department in the
Those
past.
numbers are entered not long after the turn of the calendar year. It's kind of guessing at that point, and then they honestly don't mean much as you go on because we missed the window to make the changes. So we really used the adopted budget, so.
Thank you.
Is there any other further discussion on account 1011? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote on the main motion for account 1011, information technology, in the amount of $1,466,952. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed, please
Well,
say
if you can
no
see
and
me.
raise your hand. Any abstentions? All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if you could move on to our next account, please.
Our next account was account 6050. It was found on page 74. It was Technology Replacement Fund. Director Spellman reviewed the replacement of laptops, desktops, computers, printers, and monitors. The increase is $15,875 to this account. The committee had a few discussions about the funds, how they work, increase the cost of technology replacement, tariff impacts, moving forward in the future, the review of the accounts, and the fund balance was discussed, the idea of not funding the account and the use of fund balance to do the replacement costs this year. Chairman Powers asked to move $98,390. So moved by Representative Norman and seconded by Representative Pulaski. The vote was taken, 6 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. The motion to move $98,390.
Okay, motion was moved by Chair Powers, seconded by Adams for account 6050. The amount is $98,390. I open up the floor for discussion on this motion on the floor. Representative Norman?
I got a double header again. Okay, so my first question is, given for those following along on, I think it's 49 or 47, 49. The technology replacement fund balance right now is about 3 years worth of the actual budget here, and I have a question of why we wouldn't pull down from the fund balance and have this be 100% from the fund balance rather than going into pulling from other funds. And number 2 is I have a question about how many people currently work for the town and what percentage of current staff members are getting a new, it's 64 workstations, it's up a lot, are getting a new workstation this year, given that we expect a workstation to last 5 to 10 years. So I wouldn't expect it to be over 20% of the population in a year.
I'll answer the first one. We have flagged that there is a significant fund balance there. Talking over with Director Morrison, we're requesting to wait to next year to start tapping into that, simply because every fund pays into that. We'd have to go back, recalculate all funds, including those that have been passed. If we make the change, it could be done, and Director, do you want to add anything?
And for those who aren't aware, if I'm not mistaken, Town Manager, there's a computer replacement fund that all departments have put into throughout, at least as long as I've been a member of this body, on and off for almost, 2 decades. I'll turn it over to you now.
Sure. So this particular fund, the technology replacement, it does have multiple funds that contribute into that. So if we were to remove that contribution this year, it is going to make a lot of other calculations, changes for other funds on the expense side. So we're talking about the contribution into the technology replacement on the revenue side for the expenses that Director Spellman has for the $98,000. So if we could wait till next year to consider using the fund balance and not contributing into the fund, it would make the process a little easier.
But in coming from other funds, right, it's going from the general operating. So that 91,000, is that all going to be collected from taxpayers? And we could choose not to collect it from taxpayers this year and cut that out of the budget and pull it from the fund balance rather than
It is not all from general fund.
Okay. Do you have a sense of?
Some is from golf course, some is from sewer use funds.
The golf course fund goes into the tech fund?
For the computer replacement portion, yes.
What percentage is going to be collected from taxpayers this year?
I think from the general fund, it was about 80-ish thousand. I don't know how the exact number.
So could we not pull that 80,000? Could that 80,000 come from the tech fund budget rather than from the general fund, and we not have to?
Yes, we have to redo the numbers on all the different funds, though, including the ones we passed Thursday night. Is that correct?
I think it would just be the 1073, which we have not passed yet.
Okay,
but
so it wouldn't affect the ones already passed?
It would not.
Okay.
It would just be, so you're asking for the contributions into this fund if we were to peel out the general fund portion?
The general fund, pull that from the tech balance instead and cut 80,000 off of what we're collecting from taxpayers.
Okay. We can do that if that's what.
I don't think that there's a motion I can
choose?
make on that. I just would like to
it's
make that
just
recommendation.
When we get to the contributions from other funds, which is actually on the last night for the 1073, we would just make the change there. It would not affect what the amount is that we would pass tonight for the expenses, though.
Great.
You got the other question, Bob?
And the
Second
second everything I
question.
can here.
Any
So-
other discussion on the
My
main
other
motion on
question
the
was
floor?
how many people work, yeah.
Yep.
Yes. So I don't have the numbers for how many people work at the town, but I know that
60 to 270.
I know that not all of these computers are for employees. I know the library also contributes to the computer replacement fund, and there's a lot of the public workstations that get replaced there. There are other systems, like systems that manage heating and cooling in a couple of the buildings that are in the computer replacement fund. So it's not always just one-to-one to an employee.
Do you have an estimate on what percentage of workstations you are replacing this year? And I know you also have like 50 monitors. This just went up 20%, and so.
Yeah, let me take a look.
Is it necessary for this year?
I believe it is, because if we reduce the budget this year, it's going to put strain on the budget in future years. We have a 5-year replacement cycle for most workstations. 3 to 5 years is the generally expected business life of a workstation, so we're trying to keep it at the far end to save the taxpayers money. But the slower the computer is, the longer it takes for someone to get their job done. A lot of the workstations that we're replacing have old mechanical spinning discs in them, which take a long time to run software on modern operating systems. So replacing those with faster workstations will be a benefit to all of the employees in the town.
Representative Brickman has joined us. We're at 29 members present. Representative Casper?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Are your servers still in the basement?
Some of them are, yes.
Are they're being moved, or there's a plan for that?
I don't have any experience with how to manage a project like that, but I need to approach Public Works to learn how to start to plan a project like that. It is something that is on my radar, yes.
Is there any other discussion from the membership on the main motion on the floor? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a motion for item 6050, Technology Replacement Fund. The main motion on the floor is for $98,390. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no.
No.
Who is that no?
Norris.
Any abstentions? All right, motion passes 28 in favor, 1 opposed, 0 abstentions. Okay,
Okay, we're gonna go to the CIPs next. It's, CIP, where is it?
7A?
7A.
Yeah, 7A. I gotta find it on my sheets here, guys, hang on. 7A. Yep, okay. It's on page 246. Director Spellman expends CIP Information Technology Infrastructure found on 246 to the committee as it relates to the ongoing upgrades, server hardware, software upgrades, switch end-of-life town networks, upgrades to Microsoft Office 365, network UPS replacements. The discussion, the committee discussed things related to the upgrades, the funding source, the overall project long-term upgrades, the equipment upgrades, the cloud storage in comparison to the cost effect on the reinstallation, plus storage in comparison to on-site uploads, the area which the equipment is stored, how it affects it, and from the environmental impact of the physical equipment as it is in a storage building. Chairman Powers asked to move $150,000 for the CIP, so moved by Representative Pulaski and seconded by Gardner. The vote was 6 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstention. I'd like to move $150,000, please.
Motion was moved by Chair Powers S., seconded by Norman. For CIP 7A, I figured I'd help you all out, so we know where we are. The amount is $150,000. I open up the floor for discussion on this CIP approval. Seeing none, I am going to call for a vote on CIP 7A, Information Technology Infrastructure, for the amount of $150,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Are there any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay.
All right.
Our next CIP was Enterprise Resource Planning, page 147. 247, I'm sorry. Director Spellman explained the CIP to the Committee for the Public Safety Master Plan, the personal training, user support, and as it impacts the IT staff productivity tools. Committee discussed the cost effects and the integration of the systems into the more streamlining process of these programs for efficiency. This will allow for more security within the system, and there will be an overall upgrade to the cost control. Chairman Powers moved $50,000, so moved, and Representative Pulaski seconded. Vote was taken 6 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstention. I'd like to move $50,000, please.
Okay, motion was moved by Chair Powers, seconded by Representative DeGraffenreich. for CIP 7B, Enterprise Resource Planning. The amount is $50,000. Is there any discussion on this main motion on the floor? Seeing none, I'm going to call for a vote on CIP 7B, Enterprise Resource Planning, in the amount of $50,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Are there any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Oh.
Abstain.
You one abstention, okay. Motion carries 28 in favor, none opposed, one abstention. Representative Good.
Very good. We're on to CIPC. It's Enterprise Information Management Service Acquisition, found on page 248. Director Spellman explained this is the second phase of the EMIS system upgrade to handle HR payroll, and the third phase of Enterprise Assessment Management module dealing with the work orders and the fleet. This will reduce ballooning software maintenance and support fees. These upgrades are to integrate the town's major software systems. The committee asked about the long-term upgrades as it is implemented over the next 5-year plan for CIPs. The streamlining of the Board of Education was discussed in the next year's CIP. Chairman Powers asked to move $310,000. It was seconded by Representative Gardner. Voted in favor, 6 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstention. I'd like to move $310,000.
I didn't get the second here. Okay, all right, thanks. Motion was moved by Chair Powers S. It's seconded by Representative DeGraffenreich for CIP 7C, Enterprise Information Management System, EIMS acquisition for the amount of $310,000. I open up the floor for discussion on this motion. Yes, Representative Swindell.
I noticed that the funding estimated for years 2028 and beyond are zero. My question is about the computer system that we have. Is it a large computer to which people are, attached as accounts, or is this a series of, desktop computers that are somehow linked together? I think it would be interesting to the public to know what kind of systems we have.
Director Spellman?
So this particular capital improvement project is actually just for the implementation of the software. It's not related to acquisition of servers, but we have 2 data centers. One is at the Public Safety Building and one is at the Town Hall, and there are a number of servers in each location. Most of our servers are virtual, so we have 3 very large servers running a bunch of smaller ones that are virtual, and then a number of workstations around the town that connect in over the network to these servers to run all of the software that we use for the town.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other discussion on this main motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on CIP 7C. The main motion on the floor is for $310,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Abstentions? All right, motion carries unanimously, 29-0 to 0.
Okay, we're on to CIP 7D. It is IT security. It's found on page 249. Director Spellman, it's a continuation of the 2017 Public Safety Master Plan with funds for $30,000 for incident response, preparedness, and general security improvements. Director spoke about the disaster recovery of the information and systems, the system types, the physical locations of the servers were also discussed, the assessment of bringing systems back online. The committee discussion asked questions that were related to how recovery of information is achieved and needs to be located on a physical server in comparison to being on the cloud server, the efficiency of the recovery of the data plan, and the needs to be more streamlined and reviewed. Funds for the plan is, I asked if there was funds for the plan to be enough to continue on with what we were doing. We agreed that it was. Chairman Powers asked to move 30,000, so moved by Representative Norman, seconded by Pulaski. A vote 6 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. I'd like to move $30,000, please.
All right, motion was moved by Chair Powers S., seconded by Representative Adams for CIP 7D, IT security. The amount is $30,000. I open up the floor for discussion on this main motion. If you could just, Representative Johansson, if you could just use your microphone, please, that'd be great.
So this is just better computer service, basically?
This is putting a documented plan in place in the event of a disaster. Our existing disaster recovery
So we
plan.
gotta have this.
To have a playbook in case we do get hit by something like ransomware. It will give us a step-by-step of who to contact, what departments are most important to bring online first, how to restore the backups, and
Okay, I trust you to know this stuff.
thank you.
Any other discussion on this motion on the floor? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote on CIP 7D, IT security. The amount is $30,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? All right, motion carries 29 in favor, 0 opposed. It's unanimous. All right.
Thank you very much, Director
All
Spelman.
right,
Thank you
that's
all.
that. All right, thank you, Director Spellman. Appreciate you. All right, so if we can go on, Representative Powers S., Chair Powers S. to 1012, please.
Yes.
I'd like to recognize Director Green. She's coming on up.
Thank you,
So great to
Director
see
Green,
ya.
for coming.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. We're here.
We're on to account number 1012, Human Resources. It's found on page 78. Director Green explained the overall expense of the increase of $26,326 due to personal services and operating expenses. It was pretty straightforward. The committee asked about the contract collective bargaining agreements with 4 different contracts to be negotiated in June. The budget reflects a slight increase over these negotiations and salary adjustments. Chairman Powers asked to move $521,114. Moved by Representative Norman and seconded by Representative Pulaski. 6 were in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstention. I so moved $521,114.
All right, motion was made by Powers S., seconded by Powers K. For account 1012, Human Resources, the amount is $521,114. This was the number that was presented by the town manager, approved by the town council, and approved in committee for the RTM. I open up the floor for discussion on this main motion. Very well. Seeing none, I'm going to call for a vote on 1012 Human Resources in the amount of $521,114. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. 29-0. All right, moving on.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move to account 1070. It's insurances and claims. It's found on page 84 in your finance book. Director Green explained the insurances and claims decreases in the budget of $35,740. The overall and proposed budget this year is $947,895. The discussion of the Board of Education taking on the middle school insurance was one of the questions we had. So that was a reduction from this account. We discussed the unemployment fund, the workers' comp fund, funds that are, they have slight reductions and some have adjustments. The risk assessment increases along with the drone insurance, which we spoke a little bit about. Chairman Powers asked to move $947,859. So moved by Representative Gardner, seconded by Representative Pulaski. Vote was taken 6 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstention. I'd like to move $947,895.
All right, motion was moved by Chair Powers S., seconded by Representative DeGraff and Wright for account 1070, insurance and claims. The main number on the floor is $947,895. This is the same number that was, let me just make sure I'm doing this right here. It was presented by the town manager, approved by the town council, and also approved by RTM committee. Is there any discussion on this main motion on the floor? Very well. Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on account 1070, insurance and claims, in the amount of $947,895. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Are there any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously, 29 to 0 to 0. One more to go.
Okay, here we are. We're on 1071, self-funded plans, found on page 88. Director Green explained how the self-funding plans work. This account increase of $130,976 due to various categories of retirement accounts, health insurance, workman's comp, life insurance. The retirement account is approximately 79% funded. Health insurance increases along with the retiree benefits were discussed. The worker comp risk assessment was explained to us. The committee discussed a variety of categories of decreases as they each impact each category. A shift of the middle school liability up to the Board of Education was discussed since the Board of Ed is in control of the building. The health benefit for retirees and spouses and the overall number changes. Excuse me. I have to find one more page here. Chairman Powers asked to move 130,000, oh no.
No.
Where, I gotta find the page. Hold on, folks. Hold on. So you guys catch me up here. Thank you. I gotta find the page. No, I know, I gotta find the page here. I gotta find it in my notes. We gotta put them back together again. Just give me a minute. Okay, here we are. Chairman Powers asked to move $12,397,798. It was so moved by Representative Norman and seconded by Representative Gardner. The vote was taken 6 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. I'd like to move $12,379,798.
All right, motion was moved by Chair Powers S., seconded by Representative Pulaski. For account 1071, self-funded plans, the amount on the floor is $12,397,798. I open up the floor for discussion on this main motion. Just to be noted, Representative Perella is here, and we now have 30 members present. Just to catch you up to speed, Representative Perella, we're on account 1071, self-funded plans, and the main motion on the floor is listed up above. Okay, is there any discussion on the main motion on the floor? Very well, seeing none, I'll call the vote for 1071, self-funded plans. The amount on the floor is $12,397,798. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Are there any abstentions? All right, motion carries 30 to 0 to 0. It's unanimous. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Good
Director
night.
Green, great to see you. All right, so that's the end of the finance piece for this evening. So we have a few more accounts to deal with along with some CIPs. I'm going to call a quick recess. You can grab a couple of snacks. I know some people brought some great food. If we can come back in 10 minutes, so please be in your seats by 6:55, that'd be great, and we can keep on plowing on. All right, thank you. All right, we're re-gaveling. I already gavelled once, I don't want to bang it again. We are back from recess. It is 6:58. I hope everyone had some fine, delicious confectionery treats. I'd like to thank, what was that, District, who did the treats again today? District 5? 5 and 3. All right, thank you 5 and 3 for bringing some fantastic yummies. We appreciate it. Yeah, who's next? Let's get the next one out there. All right, that'll be for Wednesday, May 7th. All right, so we have, I'm going to recognize Chairman of Community Development and Services, Chair Casper. We have 3 accounts and 4 CIPs we have to tend to. So if you want to go through your minutes, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. I'll read both meetings because all the accounts we're doing today are in both. The RTM, Community Development and Services Committee Budget Review 1, met on Monday, 4/21/25 at 3 p.m. at Town Hall Annex, Community Room 1. Present, Chair Clarence Casper, members, Rep. Becky Matter, Rep. David Hume, and via Zoom, Rep. Anne Marie DeGraffenreich. Also in attendance was Town Manager John Burt, Human Services Director Kim Turek, and various representatives of outside agencies and libraries. A quorum was declared, and the meeting was opened by Chair Casper at 3:04. A review of the following accounts proceeded. Account 1092, Fire Districts Pilot. Account 1001, Legislative Policy. Account 1006, Legal Services. Account 1084, Health and Service Agencies, including ambulance services. Account 10845, Outside Agencies. Account 1083, Regional Agencies. Account 1063, Groton Public Library. Account 3310, Borrow It, Connecticut. Account 1051, Human Services. Account 7320, Human Assistance Fund. And finally, account 7360, Human Assistance Fund. At the conclusion of all accounts, a motion to accept all accounts as presented was made by Rep. Hume and seconded by Rep. Matter. It was unanimously approved. The meeting was adjourned at 3:40. The RTM, Community Development and Services Committee Budget Review 2 meeting was at Wednesday, 4/23/25 at 3 p.m. the Town Hall Annex, Community Room 2. Present, Chair Clarence Casper, members Rep. Becky Matter, Rep. David Hume. Also in attendance was Town Manager John Burt via Zoom and Director of Planning Jonathan Reiner. A quorum was declared and the meeting opened by Chair Casper at 3:01 p.m. A review of the following accounts proceeded. Account 1010, Executive Management. We were talking about cutting that severely, but we didn't. Account 1046, Planning and Development Services. Then CIP 7, Technology. Planning/Public Works, it's a joint venture. Electronic Document Management System, I was at $50K. CIP 8, Planning and Economic Development. The Economic Assistance Fund Economic Assistance Fund at $50K. CIB, open space acquisition was 0. D, economic development strategy was 50,000. And E, road and drainage standards and subdivision regulations, 85,000. At the conclusion of reviewing all accounts, a motion was made to accept all accounts as presented, was made by Representative Hume and seconded by Representative Matter, and was unanimously approved. The meeting was adjourned at 3:25 p.m.
All right, since we have all the minutes for the accounts that we're dealing with today as ones that we will be dealing with moving forward on Wednesday, May 14th, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the Community Development and Services Committee.
I make a motion.
All right. Can I get a second? All right, motion was moved by Powers S., seconded by Pulaski to approve the minutes for the Community Development and Services Committee. Any discussion on the minutes? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right.
Okay.
So we have 3 accounts here, 1063, 3010, and 1046. I'd be willing to entertain a motion for $1,890,661. No? I can't do that?
No, that's the number for planning and development services.
You didn't give us that one? All right, never mind. Strike that. Let's start with 1063, like I was saying from the beginning. All right, so if you could give us that number, please.
$1,922,715.
All right, motion was moved by Chair Casper, seconded by Adams, for account 1063, Groton Public Library. The number on the floor is $1,922,715. This was the number that was in the manager's budget, passed the town council, and also passed the RTM, Community Development and Services Committee. All right, I open up discussion on this. Main motion. Yes, Representative Gibbs. It should be working.
Okay, I just had a quick question. I know that the, excuse me, the libraries raise money, like they get donations, right? I'm just wondering how that plays into your budget, or if it, I mean, that's not part of this, right?
It is not, no.
Okay.
We have a friends group that meets for fundraising purposes, and they help fund the library with things that we don't have in our operating budget. So we utilize them. They're volunteers that, like I said, contribute to fundraising activities for the library.
So that doesn't have to do with any operating expenses?
No.
It's just, okay.
Is there any other discussion on the main motion on the floor? Seeing none, I'm going to call for a vote on account 1063, Groton Public Library. The main motion is for $1,922,715. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously, 31-0. Thank you, Director Mealy.
Thank you.
Barrowit, Connecticut.
Next up, indeed.
Barrowit, Connecticut is $46,500.
Can I get a second on that? Second. All right, motion was moved by Chair Casper, seconded by Adams for account 3310, borrow IT CT. The amount is for $46,500. I open up the floor for discussion on this main motion. Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on account 3310, borrow IT CT for $46,500. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Are there any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. All right, moving on, we got 1046, Chair Casper.
Yes, Planning and Development Services, account 1046, was $1,890,661. And
Motion was moved and seconded for 1046, Planning and Development Services. The number on the floor is $1,890,661. This was the number that was moved by the town manager, passed by the town council, and also passed at committee. I open up the floor for discussion on this main motion. Representative Aubry. I can't hear you. Yes, I see your hand.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm just wondering, are they fully staffed now?
Director Reiner, are you fully staffed in your department?
Yes, we are fully staffed. The only position we did not fill was the grant writer position. We're waiting to see what's going on at the federal level before we fill that position.
Understandable. Well, I would just like to speak in favor of this. I think they do an outstanding job, and I think it's a very reasonable number. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Representative Powers S.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Director Reiner, just out of curiosity, with all the building and development that's going on, how is your staff as far as that department in planning and zoning is concerned?
Thank you. So again, John Reiner, Director of Planning and Development Services. Right now, we're at a good spot, but we're kind of at a little bit of a critical intersection with the amount of applications that are coming in, being approved through planning and zoning, and what we see for permits on the horizon. Our building division is probably the one portion of our department that might need to grow in the very near future if a few applications move up a little quicker in the queue, depending on how quickly they get building permits in.
Yeah, with new RFPs and, you know, if we ever get the Mystic Oral School plan going again, you probably need more staff, would you think?
Yeah, but even aside from those, with the recently approved property on the Gold Star Highway, what the new phase at Fairview, and there's some other construction projects that have been kicking around for a little while that we expect to come back.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there any other discussion on this main motion? Representative Perella?
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. Mr. Reiner, we had talked just briefly during the break. I thought it might be useful briefly to explain that some of the revenue that's going to be possibly coming in the next few years, because we have quite a few developments, and how that would coincide, you know, with the staffing that you have. And if you project, you know, in another couple of years, but we are acting on this year's budget, if you think that, which similar to what Mr. Powers said, do you think you are going to be able to deal with these new developments that quickly, or were they going to take another year or two, like the one on 184 that should bring in? I think we talked about a certain figure on that revenue, which is promising, so maybe you could comment on that.
Yeah, sure. So there's kind of two different sides of the revenue stream that we look at. One, what we get in building permit fees, really are a lot of our permit fees. And if you look at where our fees have gone over the past few years. They've gone quite a bit higher with the same staffing that we've had for the almost 11 years I've been working for the town. We've seen our building permit fees about triple in what we're bringing in from revenue. This year, we've kept that number for fees, which offsets our request of a budget to about $700,000. I think those numbers are going to be higher, but we kind of have to see when people apply for these permits. On the other side of the ledger, what our tax collectors bring in when we see development come on board. For example, Triton Square, the previous Sealy School, we're expecting that to come fully online this calendar year. That property will be contributing about $1 million plus to the town on a yearly basis in new tax revenue. The Gold Star Highway property that we had discussed a little bit, we expect building permits to come in that probably sometime in the next 6 months or so, probably about a 2+ year time frame for construction. Again, once that is completed, we'll see north of $1 million a year in new tax revenue from that. And there's other properties like that. We'll see how things pan out with the Pleasant Valley School. There's a 60+ unit development that was just approved over on Crystal Lake Road. So a lot of these projects, happy to give an update at a meeting sometime soon to get into some of the more specifics of our kind of planning and economic development initiatives. But yeah, there's a lot of future revenue coming our way.
Thank you so much. Also, just a reminder, Thursday, is it, Mr. Reiner, they're having the meeting for the plan of development, so that should be informational, so people can state what they like and what they don't like, because we had that before and went at the old Benny's, so.
Yeah. This Thursday night, we're having a meeting on our plan of conservation and development, Groton 2035. If people want to come, it's going to be an open house style type of meeting. Love to have people's input on that long-range plan.
And just to add, so we don't get any emails and calls tomorrow, there's nothing happening with the Mystic Ed Center, the Mystic Oral School.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other discussion on the main motion on the floor? Representative Obrey, you have your hand up?
Yeah, one quick question. How many more car washes, John?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? It's a little garbled.
Sorry. How many more car washes, John?
I think we have about 10 more that I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So, as I said before, we don't go to car wash conventions. We look at what people are proposing. I think the previous car wash that was built, I can't remember if it was 2005 or 1995, but I think we're coming to the end of our car washes for a while, and gas stations. But you never know what people want to invest in this town.
Anything else, Rep. Obrey?
No, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Representative Norman?
Sorry. Whoa. The summary mentions a $350,000 grant that you got from the Department of Defense. Where is that reflected in this budget?
That is not reflected in this budget. So that is grant funds we have to go out to bid to hire consultants. That's a grant project that's not offsetting staff costs. So that's additional work that we get. That's a grant that we did get council and RTM approval for a number of months ago.
Okay, but it doesn't help at all in your actual operating budget and what you have here.
It doesn't help in the actual operating budget for our staff, but then we get extra work done by getting that money so we can hire experts to then dive deeper into some of the issues that we don't have the staffing capacity to do ourselves.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for account 1040, Planning and Development Services? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. The main motion on the floor for account 1046 is $1,890,661. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Are there any abstentions? Representative Norris has left us temporarily, so he's out. So 30 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. Passes unanimously. All right. Chair Casper, if you can present CIP 7, please.
CIP 7 is a planning/public works electronic document management system, essentially digitizing plans and documents. The number is 150K.
Motion was moved by Chair Casper, seconded by Representative Powers S. for account, or CIP 7J, Planning Public Works Electronic Document Management System, in the amount of $150,000. All right, I open up the floor for discussion on this account, CIP. Very well. Seeing none, I'm going to call for a vote on CIP 7J. The amount for the main motion is $150,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Are there any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously, 30-0. If we can go on to CIPs in Section 8, Planning and Economic Development, please.
CIP 8, Planning and Economic Development. A, Economic Assistance Fund, $50,000. Economic Development Strategy, $50,000. And Road and Drainage Standards and Subdivision Regulations, $85,000.
I think we, Representative Casper, can we get some clarification on CIP 8A, Economic Assistance Fund? The town manager proposed $50,000. However, the council did decrease this to zero. Did you restore funding on this, or are we still working on the zero?
No, that's an OE on my part. I missed it.
Oh, okay.
It was zero.
It was zeroed out. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll just bring up item A. Right now, it's at zero. Town manager's budget was for $50,000. If there was a desire by this body to restore that funding, we would require a 2/3 majority in order to do it. I'll turn it over to town manager before we make a motion for anything on this account.
Just to mention, we're fully in favor of zeroing it out. We had actually recommended it to the town council.
Okay, I think we pretty much heard what we needed to hear. If we can go on to agenda item D then, Representative Casper?
Economic Development Strategy was $50,000.
Do I need a second for that?
Second.
Okay, for CIP 8D, Economic Development Strategy, the motion on the floor is for $50,000. This was moved by Casper, seconded by Powers S. This was the amount that was proposed by the town manager, passed by the town council, and also approved in RTM committee. I open up the floor for discussion on this. Representative Aubry?
Yes, is that the money that would be used for the updated strategy for development of Groton?
Yes. But not the POCD. This would be outside of the POCD, because the POCD it touches upon economic development, but doesn't dive as deep into it as this. This would have all the actual strategies, the implementation measures. And this is a document we should be updating every 5 years or so, especially seeing the changes that have happened since before COVID to now.
Okay, thank you. Oh, can I ask one more question?
Yeah, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Okay. Does your Economic Development Committee aid you in gathering your information or assisting in it in any way?
They've been helpful recently in helping us spread the word on the Business Pivot Grant, as well as getting the word out on some other projects and programs that we've been doing.
Great, thank you very much.
Representative Perella?
Thank you. Mr. Reiner, with the number on the open space acquisition, I just had a question if they would be including in some type of either grants or possible comprehensive plan within the other monies that you are spending, if that is already inclusive in that, and why that would be zero, or are they just not going to be seeking out any more open space?
So you're asking about,
Point of order.
Yeah, what was your point of order, Representative Good?
We're on the economic development strategy right now. Open space is different.
Correct. That is a point well taken. Right now, we're on agenda item D, and again, just for clarification, it was zero. The open space was not was a zeroed out account this year.
Right. So
Okay.
that the question was whether the other parts of that budget, the one that we're on, the development strategy, then would be including in that monies that could be attributed or inclusive of open space within those plans.
so the $50,000 for the economic development strategy is focusing on the economic development strategy, not necessarily on open space acquisition. That's yeah, I mean, the POCD will certainly talk about our open space plans, looking at the fact that we're at, approximately 30% of the town is open space. That'll dive into that a bit for a policy and kind of the direction we should be going in the future.
Thank you. That's what I was getting at.
Okay.
Representative Norman?
To go back to that $350,000 grant, I'm assuming it can't be used for this because it's for housing only, or can it actually try to cover this work?
You're correct. It cannot be used to cover this work. Different projects, different plans. That $350,000 project had a very specific scope when we went after those funds.
Okay. Any other further discussion on CIP 8D, Economic Development Strategy? Main motion on the floor is for $50,000. Seeing no more hands, I'm going to call for a vote on CIP 8D, Economic Development Strategy, in the amount of $50,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously, 30-0. All right, last one, Chair Casper for the night. CIP 8E, please.
Road and drainage standards and subdivision regulations is $85,000.
Second.
All right, motion was moved by Chair Casper, seconded by Representative Powers S. in the for CIP 8E, Road and Drainage Standards and Subdivision Regulations. It can be found on page 255 in your big book. $85,000 is the main motion on the floor. I open it up for discussion. Representative Aubry.
Yes. Is that part of planning for the roads that we're going to do, or something separate from that?
So this is for any future roads and also how roads are upgraded over time as we look internally what we do. So the last time we updated these standards was 2002. And this is a project we've been talking about for a while, but we've been kicking this can down the road, pun intended, for a number of years, trying to put it off, and we've kind of hit the point where we really need to incorporate these standards of current drainage standards, our complete streets policy, and some other best practices into these standards moving forward.
Thank you.
Representative Norman.
Will the roads that are being repaved or reworked this year get this, or starting this next year, or starting in 2027?
Once these standards are in place, so it'll take some time. I mean, right now, as we work with Public Works and as they're redesigning roads, they are bringing current practice and best practices as best as they can into any roadway improvement projects, but this will be for new construction, new roads, new subdivisions, and things moving forward.
Got it.
Yeah, and it'll also incorporate our complete streets policy that the town has as well.
What does that mean? Sorry, complete streets.
So,
Does that mean every street has a sidewalk or?
it's looking at making sure all means of transportation are addressed, so whether it's walking, whether it's biking, whether it's automobile, and not just all road-centric.
Got it.
And just to add on, the policy requires, as we do this type of work, that it get brought up at the Complete Streets Committee to make suggestions on what might be able to be done there.
Got it. Thank you.
Representative Good?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I was wondering if there would be enough funds in the enterprise zone funds. I know we're using those for some of the paving this year, and it looked like we had a bit left over. I was wondering if it's a CIP use. It's kind of going into the same kind of project.
So could we use the capital reserve fund to help pay for it?
Yeah.
Yes, it
state
could.
funds.
And the only reason, and just to give a little background on this, we're set to use for general fund dollars this year about 2.3 million, with about 5 million coming out of other funds. We usually spend about 3 million, 3.5 on general fund. So we also don't want to go too heavy on that, use up all our money in 1 year, deplete the general fund, and then suddenly you run out of the other dollars and the general fund jumps up. So that's kind of why we try to spread them out some. So it's already pretty low. It could be done, yes. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It's not the end of the world for that kind of money.
Is there any other discussion? Representative, before I get second-time hands, Rep. Aubrey, I'm going to go to first-time hands, Representative Swindell.
Sure, I forgot to take it down.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Representative Swindell. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm noticing that these planning projects for economic development and for roads standards have nothing predicted for the next 5 years. And I'm just curious to know, is this a brand new item in the budget, or do you really expect there not to be any further expenses in the future?
So these will be one-time expenses. We might revisit that economic development strategy 5 or more years out and have to update that and redo it. The same for these road and drainage standards. So these are just, standard written engineering specifications. The last time we did this was in 2002. I don't expect them to have to be updated for another 20-something years after this. So certainly outside of this CIP scope of time.
Thank you.
Any other further discussion on the main motion on the floor? Representative Perella?
I just wanted to stress the importance of that we should be funding this, because we just had our roads redone in my neighborhood, and I have to say the Public Works did an excellent job with that plan. And the drainage is much better than it was, and the curbing is a different design than the old curbing, and it really does help people when they need to park, so I would just encourage it.
Thank you. Seeing no more hands, I'm going to call for a vote on CIP 8E, Planning and Economic Development, Road and Drainage Standards and Subdivision Regulations in the amount of $85,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Are there any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Director Reiner.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, thank you, RTM membership, for coming out. It is now 7:30, and I am going to recess this meeting until the Wednesday, May 7th, when we will be dealing with the subdivision accounts, public safety, and a CIP for technology. See you back at 6 o'clock on Wednesday. Thank you so much.